Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. And today we are going to talk about how zombies weaponize GLP-1s. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to talk about how GLP-1s are being used by people with E followed by the letter D to push a narrative and to further reinforce things like fat acceptance, BINGE, E followed by the letter D, etc. I tend to call it the toxic ritualistic on this channel, short for, or I'll say TR for short. But basically, we're going to go ahead and read this article. I have been talking about this the whole time. We have to talk a lot about GLP-1s because that's really the biggest thing in the fatosphere right now going on. And there's so much like I call people with I don't call individuals with E followed by letter D zombies all the time. Sometimes I do online. But typically when I talk about it this year I'm focusing on like the kind of zombie horde aspect and how they all reinforce each other and try to push society to be as fat as possible. So it may sound weird to people, but you'll get it. Stick around, you'll get it eventually. But essentially, the zombie horde uses GLP-1s for a lot of different reasons. It goes all over. So people within the reductive side will use it. People with MIA will use it. They celebrate it. And then a portion of people in bingo, I like to call it that, they support it. And then some hate it within bingo. So some will be like, I'm the one, like we're the zombies, we're like the controlled opposition zombies, basically. But this, I think, is a typical way of using it to reinforce all the disorders and to bolster fat acceptance and to weaponize it. So I've said this many times. Zombies use GLP-1s as a weapon, period. So we can't let them do this, or it's already happened. So I talk about it in a video with Robin, but I think things are gonna sour with Ozempic very soon because I think y'all are about to see how powerful the zombie horde actually is when it comes to this. You're gonna see because they're not gonna stop, and nobody's going to put up any kind of fight at all. So you'll see. You shall see. So let's go ahead. The easy way out. Oh, okay, 1 second. Okay, that was odd. The easy way out may not be so easy after all, by Georgia Garvey. I've been hearing a lot lately about how it's taking the easy way out to use GLP-1s to lose weight. That may be true, but then again, you might be able to say the same thing about virtually every medical advancement. When you boil it down, chemotherapy is taking the easy way out of testicular cancer. So I really hate the comparison to cancer with obesity. Cancer has more of an element of randomness than obesity does. It's not random. You are not randomly obese. You don't fall into obesity. It's not something that happens to you. It's something that you choose every single day. So that narrative in the trash. So immediately I'm already hating this article. And I think you should hate it too, because that's already a bad comparison. It's one that I haven't heard since 2023. I was an old one. That was old. I guess, are they going to start bringing that one back? I haven't heard that in a long time. That took me back to when I first started. But anyways, no, it's not the same thing as cancer at all. Not at all. Because you can't just change your lifestyle and the cancer goes away. It's not really the way that works. But anyways, penicillin is taking the easy way out of a bacterial infection. Again, it's less of a choice, unless if we're like literally trying to infect ourselves with something every day. Then maybe you could use that a little bit. Like maybe that would be more of a comparison if somebody was intentionally or maybe even subconsciously intentionally trying to get an infection every single day, you know. but it still doesn't work. The MMR shot is taking the easy way out of getting the measles. You could be suffering and dying. I'm not even going to go there. You could be suffering and dying along with everyone else who's had the problem since the beginning of time, but instead you're over here relying on a chemical shortcut to better health. So this is very TR. This is very, very E followed by letter D. Every time there's some trend, there is a miracle cure. So this is very much pushing this. And I do understand that there are people who they try to use the zombie horde to make money. So there is money in it. That's true. I call them wolves. So this article could be written by a wolf, but it's still awful and it's still reinforcing it all. So we're still going to talk about it. So lazy. I suppose we like to think that we have more control over these things than we actually do. Okay, E followed by letter D. Oh my gosh. Look at this. Look at this, Delulu. All right. All right, bingo. Bingo, Delulu. Gosh. How reinforcing is that? You see it? Do you see? It's one of the reasons I bristle at the language around cancer. It's not the same thing. We talk of patients fighting it, being warriors, overcoming cancer as if it were a martial victory achieved through sheer power of will. I think that this comparison is kind of E, followed by letter D too. It's very odd. I don't think that this person might actually be a zombie because I don't think this works with the general public. I think this is like, the general public hears takes like these and they're like, what? Because it's almost borderline offensive, to be honest. And when someone dies, they are said to have lost their battle against the disease. What must that feel like for a person with cancer who does everything right, changes their diet, sees a wonderful doctor, goes through the recommended treatments, only to find that there is a substantial portion of luck involved in their recovery? Well, I think that cancer is definitely more complicated. It's more diagonal. There's things involved that are not choices all the time. Like it could be environmental problems. It could be genetic predispositions. It could be, some people offer spiritual explanations. I mean, there's so many things that can go into that. I'm not going to entertain all of that in this, but what I will say is the difference between cancer and obesity is a choice and cancer isn't. That's the biggest difference. And I don't give a fuck if that bothers you. You will never get E followed by letter D reinforcement on this channel. It will never happen. I still have zombies on here trying. It's never going to happen. Obesity is a choice, period. So it is not like cancer because cancer is not a choice. You can do things to put yourself at risk for cancer. You can do things to mitigate your risk for cancer, like losing weight and becoming normalized within your weight, because obesity is correlated with cancer. But many different kinds of them, actually. But if you get it, then you have to deal with it. Once it happens, it's not a choice. With fatness and weight and obesity, once it happens, it's still a choice. I literally had a zombie tell me one time that somebody who is disabled due to their weight isn't choosing it, or it doesn't matter if they choose it, because somebody could choose to get their leg cut off and they're still disabled. To which I replied, you cannot regrow your leg back, but you can lose so damn weight. It's not the same thing. People lose their minds with this shit. They can't understand it. It's wild. It really is. There's a reason I call them zombies. I've dealt with it my whole journey. I've dealt with some really weird shit throughout my years of doing this. So Y'all deserve it. Y'all deserve the zombie label. You do. Anyways, this person is giving zombie. This is just so delulu. Okay. So there's no luck in downsizing. Let's be very clear. No luck. It's the physical reality of the sum of your choices. That is your weight. In spiritual circles, you could say weight is karmic. Weight is a part of the 12th house for my astro girlies and boilies. What that means is karma is essentially the result of your actions. It's not good or bad. It could be either. It could be or. You could have a good weight. You could have a bad weight. No, I'm just kidding. But you could be over or under, right? Or you could be normal, which you want to be normal for health reasons. But the point is, if we want to get mystical about it, even getting mystical, you're not going to have an excuse. Karma is a number on the scale. It is your karma. What have you done? Oh, you did this? Okay, then you weigh that much. Oh, you changed this? Oh, the weight will change. It's not luck. Not at all. That's about as mystical as I'll give you. And even that, it's very clear that it is your actions that determine your weight, even within a mystical context. Obesity isn't like having cancer. Sure isn't. But as time passes, research has shown that humans also have limited control ultimately over their weight. No. Research has shown that people have E fall by letter D. And they don't screen for that. They don't vet people. There's so many people that downsize and keep it off. You just don't hear it. It's not always reported. Because a lot of people don't even think to talk about it, because to most people, it's not even a big deal, honestly. But data skewed. It is compromised, in my opinion. People with the issue also skew data. They lie horrifically, and people don't like that. They're like, no, that sounds horrible. That sounds conspiratorial. It's not a conspiracy. It's just, oh, I guess it is. It's a zombie conspiracy, but it's people that are not totally sane, people who are delusional, that have an issue, an E fall by letter D, that includes pushing it or projecting it onto other people. So people think that E fall by letter D is solely internal. It's not. It is social as well. So it's not a social contagion. People throw that type of thing around a lot when it comes to this. It's not like you see somebody have one and you automatically get it. It's not that way. What it is it's a zombie system where basically a zombie finds another one and they reinforce to them. So this article is not for a general population person. This article is for somebody that has bingo. It's to encourage them to stay in the problem. That's basically what it is. Because, oh, you can't get Ozempic? Then you should never try because it's not in your control. What? Did you believe that, general population person? Because you shouldn't. That's a lie. Remember, not every zombie is in the E fall by letter D. Some of them are called runners. I call them that because I'm obsessed with The Last of Us. And it's the first stage of infection. It's where you start picking up E fall by letter D beliefs. And if those beliefs metastasize into action, then congratulations. I say that very sarcastically. You have become somebody with the problem. But most of the time it doesn't. However, the runners run cover for people in the problem. And people in the problem use runners to hide so that they can continue. So they're still a part of the ecosystem, and I still consider you a zombie. Even if you don't have it, if you push the talking points, you're a zombie in my mind. Sorry, not sorry. Anyways, so let's keep it going. Our bodies in most cases look a lot like our biological parents' bodies, and when they don't, there are often medical, social, or emotional factors at play. Emotional is bullshit. I'm sorry, that is so ridiculous. This is a very toxic ritualistic concept as well. The idea that your emotions determine your body size. That's insane. That is so delulu beyond. It also dehumanizes both fat people and thin people at the same time. That is crazy to say. Literally crazy. And people would be like, "No, it's not." Where is this connection? What is the connection between emotions and behaviors around food? Can you answer that? Well, people, they go to it for comfort. They go to it for because they're traumatized. But why? Why would somebody do that? Does it make logical sense? Is eating something actually going to help a situation? Do you do that? Gen Pop person, do you do that? Would you do that to the point where you'd put on 100 or 200 extra pounds? Why or why not? What makes you different than somebody who would? Having my Dora the Explorer moment. The answer is you don't have the disorder, and they do. So is it the emotions or is it the DIS order? Because you have emotions, right? But you don't have the DIS order. Would you be shocked to know that people in the problem don't always require an emotional moment to engage in the behaviors? Sometimes just stress. So, which somebody would say, stress is an emotion. Okay, well, then everything is an emotion, I guess. I guess breathing is an emotion. Remember that stress is physical, anxiety is physical. Anxiety can be completely random. It can be something, it could have to do with hormone fluctuations. When I was extremely deep in hypothyroidism and very severe in 2021, I would go into a panic attack every single day as the sun was going down because of the effect of sundown on my body. It had nothing to do with my emotions at the moment. It had to do with the time of day. So if I would have still been in it, I would have bingoed because I was having a panic attack every day at the same time. Had it register for me, I was often driving at that time, and every single day, like clockwork, the sun would start to go down, and I had transferred my anxiety onto my car. So every single day at that time, I'd start listening to my car extremely neurotically and freaking out about it and getting nervous and feeling like my car was going out or, falling apart or whatever on a daily basis in a ritualistic way, toxic ritualistic, right? But I was out of the problem. I wasn't doing it anymore. But the anxiety was still there because I still had physical issues. People who say anxiety is an emotion are very privileged because they've never had physical issues and they've never had trauma. That's the only people who say that. There is a huge difference between a feeling and anxiety. Huge. And especially when we're talking about people in these issues with this DI disorder, they are often traumatized and they can also have deep physical comorbidities. So it is very, very ignorant to believe that anxiety is a feeling. And I don't mean that as like a judgment of you as a person. I'm just stating it as fact. The point being, you don't need an emotion to engage in bingo. So it is not emotions, period. This pathological, like there's a I can't even talk. People try to pathologize emotion in our society today, and I think it's really odd. It's like you can't just be like, I had this zombie freak out on me, which I literally said this when I did a video about realizing I had thin privilege. And I literally said that I'm just dissatisfied. I'm emotionally dissatisfied in my life. How does that sound to you? Can you handle that? A normal person, I think, hears that and they think, okay, I said, I'm just dissatisfied. People in the TR, they can't hear that correctly. If you hear dissatisfied, then you hear I'm a victim. And this zombie yelled at me, or not yelled at me, but commented and was like, you're victimizing yourself and da da da. I literally said the opposite. I said, I'm not going to victimize myself. I'm just dissatisfied. I have to do something with my life, or I have to do something. It's not a big deal. It's not even like for those of you who've been on the channel for a while, it's not even like a mid-sized princess moment. It's because I'm not that angry. I'm just dissatisfied. It's like this. Can you handle that, or will you pathologize that? Because people within the TR, they pathologize it. You're not allowed to be angry. You're not allowed to be dissatisfied. You're not allowed to be sad. You're not allowed to be happy. Everything is something where you have to go to therapy now. And it's like, honey, like, there is actual trauma, there is actual pathology, and then there's just emotion. This is encouraging that. And that also fuels the disorder because it makes you think that if I have an emotion, there's something wrong with me. And therefore, I need to bingo to cope. And there isn't anything wrong with you having an emotion. An emotion is just an emotion. It's not an action. It's not a belief. It's not anything. It is just an emotion. You can have an emotion for no reason or any reason at all. And guess what? Give it 10 minutes, it'll probably go away. It's not that powerful. So it's certainly not powerful enough. Your little moodiness is not enough to get you to gain 200 pounds. This is delusional, beyond delusional. Anyways. Oh, goodness. We weigh more than we ever have in the United States. That's true, yes, because people actively encourage people to gain weight all the time. That's why. But we're also taller than we have ever been, okay, and have more consistent access to a wide variety of foods than at any point in human history. You're forgetting this part. And we're being actively encouraged to gain weight all the time. So we need that one there too. But then we're gaslit and said, actually, everybody's being told to lose weight all the time. That's not true. If you really think about it, if you want to think about it societally, like you have people that immigrate to the US and they put on a shit ton of weight. And it's cultural. And people will say, well, it's the food. It's the food. It's you. It's you. It's all of us. And why? What happened to the culture? Oh, right. We let the zombies take over it. Because they'll fight harder than you. They'll do way more than you. They'll talk to more people than you. They'll try to share these toxic beliefs every second of every day. Way more than you, because you don't care about it. Because we don't value it in the US. We don't value health. But they value the conversation, and they've dominated it for years, even decades. And so here we are. Because somehow, somewhere, we thought that it was cool to let crazy people decide the course of consumption when they literally have this issue and they're hyper obsessed with it. But it happens all the time. It happens all the time. And we let it happen. So you read this article. Wow, yeah. Because it's worded in flowery language and it's familiar. Like, we've heard this belief that emotion causes weight gain. We've heard this from so many zombies for decades. So by the time you hear it as a general person, you're like, oh, I've heard that forever. I believe it. It doesn't make it true. Something being repeated doesn't make it true. It's still false. I'm just saying. Also, too, the United States in general are not hugely fat. They're class 1 obese, typically, or overweight, typically. That's the most common. Why? Because you're constantly encouraged to eat more. And that happens for corporatistic reasons. That happens for zombie horde reasons. It happens for cultural reasons. It happens because people constantly tell you to. And that if you try to like be in shape at all, then you hate yourself. That's basically what people say all the time. All the time. All the time. Okay. And I will say too, it is very much pushed on women to be as fat as possible. Like extremely so. And I do think that it's often I think it's for competitive reasons. I think it's a lot of women telling other women to do it because they compare themselves to women so much. And it is a barrier and it is unfair, but that's true. Like women get this stuff all the time, and they do get it more. Because in America today, if you decide to downsize for health reasons as a woman, you're going to get an onslaught of people freaking out. And it's so bizarre because even E followed by the letter D is not gendered at all. That's also a TR folklore. It's not true. So this idea that women have it so much more than men, I don't think it's true. I think that men just don't talk about it. So I think it's just underreported because I know this is like crazy to say out loud. There's a lot of very, very, very fat men. We can see it. You can see it. There's physical evidence. But, okay. Apparently, only women get the TR, right? So there's only fat women, apparently. That's what I'm supposed to believe, right? So anyways, not every single fat person has it, but most do, especially if they're very huge, which there's plenty of men who are very huge. So, yeah. Let's continue. All right. We have evolved to protect ourselves from starvation. We've evolved to be able to store calories and release them. That's what we've evolved to be able to do. Which for most of the time we have roamed the earth was a far graver and widespread problem than was weighing too much. Research has also shown that when someone loses weight, their body will work overtime to get it back to its previous set point. Hasn't happened. I guess I'm defying gravity. I don't know. I'm a miracle child. I'm a star seed. I'm the girly pop. I'm Clara Bow. I'm the exception to the rule. I'm the most dazzling, amazing person in the whole world because I was hugely fat for over a decade. I was super morbidly obese. I was 350 pounds in high school, and I just got out of super morbid obesity in 2024. And my body isn't conspiring to gain it back. So I guess I'm just special. That's what they want you to believe. But no, I don't believe it. It's not true. It's bullshit, you guys. But I'm telling you, as somebody who's done it and I read this, it's like, what the fuck? So what are you telling me I walk on water or what? Like, it's just so stupid. Okay. For real life proof, watch the documentary about the contestants of the weight loss game show, The Biggest Loser. Oh my gosh, there's so much E-fall by letter D on that, who almost inevitably have returned to or surpassed their former weights. But there's a lot that didn't. But you're only going to look at the ones that did because you probably are a zombie, writer, dear writer. Gosh, crazy. At the same time, there are strong societal pressures to be thinner. Anyone who's ever... Is there? Because I feel a lot of societal pressure that weight loss is impossible. I feel like that message is stated way more, constantly. Like to the point where I call it the last of us losing weight. It is literally an act of resistance to actually solve the issue because it is so heavily pushed in American society to be as big as possible. And people are like, what? Yeah. Really think about like what is the message behind what people are telling you. If you try to downsize, you hate yourself. Is that encouraging you to do it? Is that an encouragement? Like, really think about it. Think a little deeper. There is no good or bad food. What does that tell you? Don't ever track what you have. Counting is DIS ordered. What is that telling you? What is the implicit message? Don't count. Oh, counting is wrong. It means keeping track of it is wrong. What does that mean? What does that incentivize you to do? Not keep track? Then, oh, you got to come to the party. You got to do this. You don't want to be weird. So you got to eat what everybody else is eating. And then if you don't, then it's like, oh, why aren't you eating? That's not pressure. I think it's pressure. And then it's like, then you do put on weight. Oh, well, it just happened to you. We don't know. Get out the tarot deck. We got to figure out how it came on. Maybe we can do a read on that. Because we're making something so purely biological and obvious and physical into the metaphysical, which is very bizarre. But you don't think that that's reinforcing, or you don't think that that's pressuring people to be fatter? Because I do. Oh, well, now that you've put on the weight, you're never going to be able to lose it. If you diet, you're going to end up gaining weight in the long run. What does that tell you? Don't ever diet. Then stay the same or get bigger, right? Set point theory, but it always goes up. Really think about this shit. Look at this article. This is just another thing in a pile of things. It's wild. And once you see it, I feel like you can see it. And it exists within the reductive side too, but this is so rampant. It is so much more, honestly. But I do not support the reductive side at all. I don't support any of them. You can't support any of them. You have to not support all of them because they're connected. So there is no, well, I'm okay with this, but not this. No. If you're okay with one of them, you're okay with all of them. Period. So you have to be against everything. It's all bad. Okay, anyways. And I do consider people talking to Mia and talking to Anna to be zombies too. Absolutely, for the record. Okay, so anyone who's ever dropped a few pounds and found themselves covered in congratulations knows we richly reward weight loss. Do we? Because I've lost a lot and I've gotten a lot of hate for it too. Because I didn't have the right narrative. I didn't say the right things. I didn't feel the right way about it. It's celebrated within a very specific context, within a very specific set of emotional responses to that. And as long as you say you're so lucky that it happened, if I acknowledge that it wasn't lucky, then it's horrible. It is not rewarded. Then everyone hates you. Well, I've had people tell me, I hope you gain it back. Which, you're still waiting. Boo-hoo, bitch. Anyways, that was a year ago. I still remember. And look, that didn't happen. Oh. Poor baby. Fucking bitch. Anyways, who said that? Oh my gosh. But there are some who say that's just the point. We shouldn't be encouraging those false narratives about weight. The writer Lindy West, who's made what's called fat liberation, her words, not mine, a key of her work, told Dr. Sanjay, Gupta? I don't know how to pronounce, I'm sorry, that she would never take GLP-1s for weight loss. For many reasons, she said, but primarily among them is that it would not solve any of my problems. Fair enough. She has talked about the emotional component to her eating. Again, let's talk about the anxiety. I think it's more relevant. But emotions can lead to anxiety, so I get that. But I like to be specific as fuck when I talk about that, because it helps you really hone in on what the problem is. She has talked about the emotional component to her eating and about how those with E followed by the letter D have complicated feelings of shame, self-hatred, and despair about their bodies. Yes, and all of that leads to anxiety, which then is put into behavior. GLP-1s do not solve those problems. That's true. Those medications also do little to disprove the societal belief that fatness is a result of weak will or ignorance. It's not the same for most other conditions. No one worth listening to believes that people with the measles just have lazy immune systems. Oh my gosh. Fatness doesn't just happen. Just stop. That is so reinforcing of E followed by the letter D. It is so reinforcing to act like it just happens. When you say shit like that, you're pushing people with that issue towards their death. I want you to know that. This is not kindness. This is evil. This is horrible. It's cruel, even. A zombie is not always aware of themselves, right? But encouraging people who are not self-aware into oblivion is horrible. It's horrible. But what do you do when a hurricane is heading for your house? Do you argue with the hurricane, tell it that it's unfair to target you and you've done nothing wrong, or do you grab your stuff and get out of there and deal with the consequences later? For those carrying a significant amount of additional weight, there are undeniable health benefits to weight loss. Argue about the fairness of increased risks of diabetes and hypertension and pregnancy complications all you like, but that won't make them disappear. True. And so here comes the magical solution. For my part, I haven't taken GLP-1s, but if my doctor recommended one, I'd strongly consider it. And yes, it's crucial to learn how to eat healthier and move more. Some won't respond to GLP-1s at all, and even if they do, combining the medications with therapy, nutrition, education, and exercise is likely to create more long-standing healthy changes anyways. Yes, I think it should be required, period. I really think it should be required, period. Especially if somebody has this issue or there needs to be a warning label on it. If you have had this issue, you shouldn't take this, because I do not have an issue with GLP-1s. I never have. I had an issue with the way it was being talked about, and I had an issue of using it purely for weight loss because I knew what would happen. But as far as people who don't have the toxic ritualistic, I don't see an issue. They're not going to use it incorrectly. They're going to look at nutrition. They're going to be logical about it. If they have side effects, they'll cease the medication. All that stuff. So I have no issue with somebody who doesn't have it taking it. But when so many people who do have it take it, they don't get off of it if they have a side effect. They lie about how great they feel on it, and they don't. They'll lie. And shit like that, then you have all these studies coming out, all this stuff coming out about it because people didn't use it correctly. And it's going to create a huge stigma around it. And you have Virgie Tovar, she's working on it. She's coming after it. And it is what it is. At this point, I think it's going to happen, but it was inevitable. It was inevitable. The zombies, they haven't let it go. They're going to use it to death and then throw it in the trash and get it ruined, basically. So, and they will stigmatize it. And you'll see. You'll see. They already are, but it's going to just keep going and going and going. So pretty soon, taking this drug will be seen as hating yourself, if it already isn't, but they'll keep pushing it. Taking this drug will be seen as self-harm. And you'll see, because they're not going to stop. And are you guys going to defend it? Who's going to defend it? Anyways. But if a person says that on the advice of their doctor they're using GLP-1s to lose weight, we shouldn't judge them or accuse them of taking the easy way out. I don't think it is the easy way out at all. I've never believed that. That's a very TR take in and of itself. But it's like, whether you're being mean as like from one zombie to the next, if you're being mean to them or nice to them, you're just trying to reinforce them. That's all you're trying to do. So I think this is kind of a zombie take a little bit. Because especially if you're very big, you're not, it's never easy. So no, that's stupid to say to somebody. I've always thought that was stupid. What I will say though is taking it when it's not necessary or when you're not big, you don't have diabetes, you taking it for vanity, that should be questioned, because that could very well be TR. Very well, because it doesn't make sense. It's not a logical decision. It doesn't make any sense. Because sometimes the easy way out may be the best or only way too. No, it's never the only way. That's the zombie take. Bullshit. The only way out. Bullshit. That is super reinforcing. No. To learn more about, I don't know. Anyways, that was wild. So let me know what y'all think. I think that the drugs are in danger. But I'm looking very long term. So I'm looking at it in 2 to 3 years. Where will we be at in 2 years? Where will we be at in 1 more year? Because there's already a backlash starting. So as far as I'm concerned, so I'm going to cover it on here as much as I can, because I think it is really important. But even if it's not failing, even if GLP-1s are working, they will create a false reality that it's not working. And they will do everything in their power to destroy it. So I'm letting you know that. Because within the toxic ritualistic, the fungus, it changes. The winds change and everybody follows it. And I guarantee you what their goal is for taking this GLP-1 to be, they probably would want it banned outright. If they don't want it banned, they're going to want it to be deeply stigmatized. They're going to say that taking it is synonymous with Anna, which they're already saying that. Virgie's already saying that. And then you'll just have people on the reductive side secretly taking it and all this shit, and it'll just be this like weird zombie thing in the future, just like everything else before it. So, because that's happened with a lot of stuff. So they use it, they break it, they stigmatize it, and then you wait for the next thing, and then they say, well, that didn't work, or that was toxic, or that was horrible for you. And maybe it was horrible for you. Or maybe it wasn't. It doesn't matter though. You'll believe it because they will not shut up about it. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.